Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to all those who have joined us online. Okay, so before we start discussing anything about the essays, I would like to know that how many of you have written the second topic? Raise your hands. Okay, some of you have written the second topic. Most of you have written the first topic, isn't it? Ships do not sink because of water around them, but ships sink because of the water that gets into them. Now, remember, I told you in the very first class that there will be some topics over which only few people will write, and within these two topics itself you can understand that the first one is more popular. Or in other words, if you say that if suppose this was the actual question paper, then most of the people who would be writing mains would end up writing the first one. Why? Because it is relatively easier to understand. But the second one, it says what? Philosophy of wantlessness is utopian, while materialism is a chimera. Now, there are some words in this topic itself which are not very clear. Like, say, for example, what is chimera? Most of you might not be having any idea about that word, and it is a good choice. See, when you do not know the meaning of a certain word in the essay topic, it would be a good choice not to go for that topic. Why? Because contextual conjecture might not always be correct. Do not always do guesswork and then think that maybe what you are thinking will be the right thing. That could be just a pure contextual conjecture. So it is very important for you to understand actually the meaning of the word. Okay, so I will start with the second one first, because that is where you struggled more. So let's try to do that one first. Okay, so what does this topic says? It says that philosophy of wantlessness. So it says first thing is philosophy of wantlessness. Is utopian. That is one half of the topic, and the other half says materialism is a chimera. Now, raise your hands again, those who have attempted this topic. First, it would be a rare choice in the examination. You'll see, this is actually a topic which was asked in the 2021 UPSC Civil Services main written examination, right? And the first topic, it was asked in Civil Services main written examination 2020. So both these topics are very latest topics. Why I have picked them? There is a deliberate conscious effort behind it, because you see UPSC is tilting more towards philosophical or abstract topics. Remember that? And that's why you see we must understand that how we should handle these topics. Initially, UPSC used to give one or two topics in part A and part B which would be abstract. Then what UPSC did was it converted one entire part into an abstract part, and last year the entire paper was abstract. All topics were philosophical topics. So there is no way out. Do you understand the meaning of that word? No way out means you cannot escape the pressure of philosophical topics. So therefore it is very important for us to develop that skill, that writing ability to handle these kind of topics. Got it? So those who have written, raise your hands and I'll give you the opportunity. Because see, this is a workshop and it would be very helpful for us to know what you have written, and then on the basis of that we will get a synthesized opinion, right? So that our understanding regarding the topic improves. Okay, raise your hands, those who have written it. Yes, dear. What have you written? Any one of you can go. What have you written? Translate it. Just okay. Go for it. Go for it. Okay.
The person who is educated, but he is of malified English.
Okay.
Like the poet comparing that person with the snake.
Okay.
Snake, it have a diamond on its head.
Hmm.
So the very nature of the snake is poison.
Venomous nature. Okay. Okay. What have you understood by this topic? That is the question. You don't know what is chimera. Okay. Suppose you have to guess it. What will you guess? Anybody? It's not necessary that you have attempted this topic or not. Yes.
Sir, it is like philosophy of wantlessness means I don't need anything, or I don't want anything.
Okay.
In a utopian state. Utopian
Okay.
means like everyone is Socrates.
Okay.
But materialism is a chimera. Materialism means the surrounding is about running about the materialism, like money, passion, pleasure.
And what is this?
That's
Anarchy. Okay. Chimera is anarchy. Do you feel that? I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just asking. Like I'm asking that what you can make out of it.
It can be compared to summum bonum.
No, chimera is not summum bonum, definitely. It's illusion. Okay. Illusion. Okay. Now, look here. Anybody else who would like to make a guess about the meaning of the topic? We are not talking about the essay at all. I'm just asking what this topic actually means. Now you see, I told you in the very first class, do you remember that aspirants gave the essay paper a stepmotherly treatment? Now you can imagine, this is something which is already asked in the examination. Yet, most of the people, it's not with you only, most of the people would never take the pain to understand what actually this topic was. Because they will feel that even if such topics come, I will just not write on them. But what if all the topics are like this, where you are not aware about one or two words or some idea? Then will you not write anything? You will end up writing something, and that something can be anything. Do you get it? And therefore, your chances will dwindle. One more try would you like to make? What do you think? Yes. Yeah, I'll give you the opportunity, dear. Just hold for a minute. Yes. Wantlessness is?
Not want. Actually, want versus need.
Okay. 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 Yes, go on, dear. What you were saying?
Philosophy of wantlessness in Ethiopia is the peace of inner thought and materialistic things will give you the equitable leisure fixed career.
Okay.
People are most encouraged to look at the materialistic belongings, their naked issues like the poverty and other.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yes.
They are driven towards
Okay. Got your point, dear. Yes.
A person cannot live without resulting. If he says that it doesn't mean anything, it's more like imaginary.
Okay. Okay. That's first part.
And at the same time, in saying that he can have everything is also illusion. So it can't be having everything.
Okay. Okay. So most of you see that you have understood illusion by this word, chimera, and you have some idea about this, right? Utopia. Utopia means what? It's an ideal, perfect state. It's a perfect state, right? Where everything is perfect. Like if it has a democratic setup, democracy is perfect. If it has a federal setup, federalism is perfect. If it has people, everyone is Socrates. Do you understand that? That is what is utopia. Now, look here. In this essay, there are 4 important themes. And what are these themes? First one is the philosophy of wantlessness. This is the first moving theme in this essay. The second thing is this concept called utopia. The third thing in this essay is materialism, or you can also say the philosophy of materialism. And then there is this important word called chimera. Now, let's try to understand the meaning of these 4 words first. And after that, we will see that how we can handle this essay. Okay? So shall we start? Okay. So look here. What is this wantlessness? Wantlessness means it's a state of mind where you are ready to give up everything. That is wantlessness. It means it's a state of mind where you are free from what? Free from desires. You do not require anything. Remember Gautam Buddha? He said that desires are the source of all pain. So philosophy of wantlessness would be found mostly in heterodox schools like Buddhism and Jainism. But one heterodox school called the Charvaka school of thought talks about materialism. Wantlessness simply means it is a state of mind. It is a psychological state because it's a philosophy, right? So it's a psychological state which believes in giving up or which believes in giving up the desires. That is the philosophy of wantlessness. It is diametrically opposite to materialism. Materialism says that you want to possess as many material resources as you can because material resources is the source of happiness. You get it? Whereas wantlessness says the desire to hold material resources is the source of pain. That's why you have to do what? You have to give up desires. Whereas materialism says what? That happiness can be engendered or it can be created only through material acquisitions. See, according to materialists, if you are in an impoverished state, then you cannot enjoy the fullness of life. Impoverishment means, like say for example, extreme abject poverty. So that's why you need more and more material resources. Sometimes you will see governments also act towards that direction, wherein they help the vulnerable sections of the society to acquire more and more material resources. Do you understand this? So wantlessness means where you are giving up what? The desires for everything, even holding material resources. Whereas materialism is a philosophy, and you know materialism is found in both right-leaning as well as left-leaning philosophical orientation. Even Marx is talking about materialism, and Adam Smith is also talking about materialism. So materialism becomes a central theme in those philosophies which are bothered with this world and not the other world. Do you get it? Whereas those who are looking for the spiritual upliftment, they are focusing more on wantlessness, like Gautam Buddha, the entire Jaina movement. So you see, the focus is on what? The focus is on giving up the desires, because desires are that kind of a thirst which cannot be quenched ever, according to these philosophical schools. Do you get it? Now, let us try to understand what is this word signifying. Utopia. Utopia is a state of perfection. Sometimes you would listen to this statement that perfection is utopia. In fact, perfection is only an ideal construct. It is not a real construct. Like say for example, if you take a pen, and you can do that if you want to, and draw a line at the center of your face, right? And then look at your face in the mirror, and you'll see that the right hand side will not be exact replica or mirror image of the left hand side. Even the earth, is it a perfect sphere? It is not a perfect sphere, rather it is geoid. Very similar to a sphere, but not a perfect sphere. Do you get it? So utopia says that it is an ideal thing, an ideal world, which remains only in ideas. it can never take shape in the form of real tangible things. Do you get it? So the first half of the essay says the philosophy of wantlessness is actually what? It is like a utopia. It means it is very attractive to give up all the desires and free yourselves from the snares of pain and then look for that eternal bliss which would be now permanent upon you, which could be in the form of enlightenment, which could be in the form of Kaivalya, Nirvana, Moksha, anything. Do you understand that? The only thing is that this entire idea is what? Utopian. It is very good theoretically, or it is very attractive theoretically, but practically achieving that would be not possible, because utopia is something which exists only in the realm of ideas and not in the realm of the real world. Got it? Then you already understand what is materialism. Materialism is that school of philosophy which says that happiness can be acquired through acquiring material resources. And greater the number of material resources, more sophisticated the type of material resources, and more varied the material resources, greater would be the amount of happiness. Do you understand that? Now, Charvak, or even think about all the philosophical schools, especially economic philosophical schools which emanated after the Industrial Revolution. They are all leaning towards what? Materialism, mass production, consumerism, corporatization. All of these things are hinting towards what? Materialism. Do you understand that? And now comes the important word, chimera. Now, what is this? Actually, chimera is the name of a beast. It's a Greek mythological character. Now, it is a fire-breathing beast. Fire-breathing beast which is in the shape of a hybrid animal. Its head and body is that of a lion. And there is a goat's head which protrudes from the back. And it has the udder of a goat, and its tail is like that of a serpent. So it's that kind of a creature. It's a mythological creature which existed in Lycia in Asia Minor. Asia Minor is today's Anatolia. It means the western edge of the Asian continent, which is present in Turkey. Okay, so you see that chimera, according to legend, it created havoc in the Anatolian country area, because some scholars also imagine that it had wings like that of a dragon. So imagine the head of a lion, and it can breathe fire. It has a protruding head from the back of that of a goat, and the tail is that of a serpent. Serpent means a very dangerous, venomous, long snake. Do you get that? And it is very vicious in nature, and it's the end part of its body, or the lower or the rear part of its body, resembles something of that of a dragon too. Do you get it? So chimera was so devastating as an animal that it used to pick up livestock, it used to destroy fields, it used to kill people. So in that society, obviously this is coming from folklore, right? And it is mythical story, mythological in its existence. So it comes as per the story that the animal or the creature or the beast, to be more precise, it created havoc in the Anatolian region. And therefore you see that the Greek king of Anatolia at that time, he called upon the Greek hero Bellerophon. Now, Bellerophon was one of the heroes of Greek mythology, like Hercules and all. So, Bellerophon, he rode on his winged horse, which was called Pegasus. And then he was carrying a lance. A lance is like a spear. Jaise bhala hota hai. So, it has a wooden stake and a lead head made out of metal lead. Then what he did was, he drove to that place where chimera was present, and he drove the lance into the fire-breathing beast's mouth. The lead, it melted and it choked the animal. And that's how it died. Do you get it? So, look at this. Look at this. This is how chimera actually looked like. It had the face and body of that of a lion. Its tail was that of a snake. And there was a goat head which was protruding from its back. And it could breathe fire. Do you get it? Now, what happened was that this is the Greek hero. This is the Greek hero, Bellerophon. And it is his horse, Pegasus. And he rode over this horse and he reached to Chimera and he then inserted his lance, means spear, into his mouth, and the lead head of the lance got melted and it choked Chimera's mouth. Fire breathing, it means what? It never stops. Do you stop breathing anytime? So it never stops. Now look at the meaning of the topic. It says, materialism is like a chimera. It means it's a desire which is never ending. It doesn't mean materialism is illusion. It means materialism is like a never ending desire. Do you get it? अभी तक तो देखो सिर्फ ऐसे के टॉपिक का मतलब क्या है उस पे ही बात हो रही है. Got it? So what is chimera? Chimera is actually a metaphor. Many people believe today, modern geographers, they believe that actually chimera was a metaphorical representation of the active volcanoes that are present in the Anatolian region. They are constantly fire breathing. So they are these are actually those volcanoes which are represented in the Greek mythology as a beast. Do you get it? So chimera is a fire breathing. It's a fire breathing beast. And materialism is like that. It is a desire which is never ending. That's the meaning of the topic. Do you get it? So it says what? Philosophy of wantlessness. It means you want to give up all your desires. Is actually utopia. It means you can only work towards it, but you can never achieve it. You cannot be completely wantless. Why? Because it is a state of utopia. And utopia means it exists only in ideas or in the ideal world. It does not exist in the real world. Look at the beauty of this topic. Can you understand this? And secondly, it says that materialism is like a chimera. It's like a fire-breathing monster. And like the monster will never stop breathing fire, those who are materialists or those who are purely driven by material instincts, their desires shall remain never ending. Do you get it? And that is what you have to justify. Do you get it? Is the meaning of the topic clear to everyone? Everyone? Okay. Let's now talk about how we can do some sort of brainstorming regarding it. Right? So in such topics, especially in such philosophical topics, it is always helpful to do brainstorming by asking certain questions. Do you understand that? If you start asking questions around the words that are included in the topic, you will be in a better position to do brainstorming. Like say for example, some questions that we can ask is, first, what is the philosophy of wantlessness? This could be the starting point of our brainstorming. What is the philosophy of wantlessness? And then some associated questions. Is it possible to be completely wantless? That's the second question. Third question, why wantlessness is a utopia or is a utopian idea? That could be the third part where you can brainstorm. Then you can ask certain questions like, what is materialism? Then what is chimera? And here you can bring that Greek mythology thing also while you are writing your essay. Then how materialism is like a chimera. And then finally you can ask a question by relating both these half of the topic, that how we can strike a balance between wantlessness and materialism. In fact, this is your essay. This is your essay. If you just give answers to these questions, your essay is done. Such kind of deep philosophical essays need not be very lengthy in nature, but they have to be deep philosophical. Do you understand that? These essays should carry a lot of weight, not a lot of words. Do you get it? Otherwise, you will end up writing words which are actually not making any kind of sense. So see, you ask yourselves these basic questions, and I'm not trying to feed you the brainstorming part, because if I do that, then you will never improve your essay writing skill. I'm just saying that if you do your brainstorming around these questions, adopting any of the approaches that we have learned, you will be getting some material and using which you can write your essay. Okay? So what are the questions? What is the philosophy of wantlessness? Is it possible to be completely wantless? And you can bring in examples also here. Why wantlessness is a utopian idea? The third related question. Then what is the philosophy of materialism, or what is materialism? What is chimera? How materialism is like a chimera? And is it possible, or if it is, then how can we strike a balance between wantlessness and materialism? If you look at this topic very carefully, look at the topic one more time. It says philosophy of wantlessness is utopian, while materialism is a chimera. It means, like suppose you have a coin. It says on one side of the coin there is wantlessness, on the other hand it is materialism. So you have to strike a balance between the both. Do you get it? That is what UPSC is actually asking from you. So have you got the part where we can break down the topic and we can ask some relevant questions? Yes.
Sir, this materialism, as you said about the chimera, it is a mythological thing. So it exists or it doesn't? We don't know about it.
It does not exist. Does not.
So it is our imagination. So in that sense, materialism is a thing like people, we collect materialism, we are in materialism. It means that it exists or it does not exist. So it is in the sense of, in Tamil, we can call it as Maya.
Yes, it's Maya actually. Chimera is actually Maya.
So in that sense, we
Yes,
can
yeah, yes, you can. Chimera is, see, Maya is something, is it limited or unlimited? It never ends. Do you understand that? And you see that what leads to Maya often, if you go to Sikhism and if you go to Vedantic philosophy, you will find that it is Lobh which is leading to Maya. Do you understand that? So you can bring all of that into the context here. But is this thing clear? Right? And these are the relevant questions around which you should do what? You should do your brainstorming. In fact, this part will help you in making the body of the essay. See, no need of going. Yes, go on. Was Buddha able to achieve the state of wantlessness? We'll talk about it in a moment. Hold on. So I'm saying that, look here, always keep this thing in mind that you should never move away from the topic. Because I have also seen people that with suppose political science and international relations is their optional subject. So they're writing philosophical essays, then they're talking about second ARC and their reforms. So बिल्कुल पता लग जाता है. If suppose somebody is having sociology as their optional, they're again writing society and society related things only in this. So the evaluator understands that this person has a particular optional subject. And the moment the evaluator understands that, then obviously you can understand that you are on a weak territory. Because first your essay would be heavy on one side and not a comprehensive work. Remember, it has to be concise. Concise means comprehensive yet brief. Do you remember that? That is what we learned in the first class. So is this thing clear? Okay. Now let us talk about how we can introduce this essay. Now introduction has to be very interesting and very catchy, right? Because that will set the tone of the rest of the essay. There are so many ways by which you can introduce this essay. Like she has done it with a poem. You can do it with a couplet, we can do it with a quote, with a anecdote, you can do it in any way you like. Do you get it? You can also do it by asking some questions. Do you understand that? So let me take this way, that how can we introduce the essay by asking questions. So how can we introduce this essay? That's the next thing that we'll check. See, why people are running after material objects, or why people want to give up material objects or desires? What do you think? What is the motivation? Why people are running after material objects? Like suppose you want a good home, good car, everything, bank balance, property, etc. Why people are going after material objects? Because they feel that they will be then leading a happy life. So what is the objective? Objective is to attain happiness in life. Do you understand that? Why people want to give up their desires? Why people want to become wantless? Spiritual growth, because they want to add more value to their lives. And if they add more value to their lives, they would ultimately become what? Happy. Do you understand that? So in fact, both of them are adopting different paths, but their goal is same, which could be happiness and state of bliss, eternal happiness, highest consciousness. Do you get it? Yes, self-attainment and self-realization, all of those kind of things. So the basic question, don't you think, here can be, what is the objective of life? What is the objective of life? That could be a very good question to start the essay. That what we are actually looking for in our life. And you set the tone right from the word go. You tell the evaluator that the objective of life is actually happiness or eternal state of bliss or self-realization or highest consciousness. You can use any of them or all of them to highlight the objective of life. And then you can say that how people adopt different pathways to reach to this goal. Do you get it? Now, one pathway is the pathway of materialism. And the other pathway is the pathway of wantlessness. So tell the evaluator from the very first line that I am trying to understand, or I'm trying to strike a balance between both of them, because that's the topic. If you start writing only about materialism, most of the people will do. They will write mostly about materialism. It means they are moving away from the topic. They are only addressing one part of the topic. You have to address both parts of the topic right in the introduction itself. So look here. Materialism, if you see, it is that philosophy which talks about acquisition of material wealth and consider material wealth acquisition as the right pursuit. Mostly you see that materialists will be those who would be also driven by concepts like self-interest and self-preservation. It means you want to preserve your life, your liberty, etc. And that's why you want more and more material protection. Better house, more property, more medical services, better education, all these kind of things. Do you get it? Though sometimes education can also lead you to finally what? Wantlessness. So there is a connection there too. Yes. Yes, we can. We can. Now, look here. Materialism in India, if you see, there is a heterodox schools of Indian philosophy, which is the Charvaka school. Maharishi Charvak talks about materialism. Materialists are those who are not bothered about the other world or afterlife. They do not feel that values are to be built and followed because these are human constructs and these are subjective things. They are the people who are mostly moral nihilists. It means they believe that morality is subjective. Do you get it? They do not believe in any God or afterlife or paradise or something like that. They believe only in this life and the acquisition of material wealth. And they want this life to live well. Do you get it? And that's why you see the German scholar like Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche will fall into this category. Lokayata philosophy, it means the philosophy of Charvak, it will also fall into this category because the sole idea is that you have to build more and more material assets because material assets act as a hedge against any eventuality. And material assets will be now the source of all the happiness that you want. So, better car, better comfort. Do you understand that? Better bed, you can sleep well. So, better the material asset, greater would be the comfort, pleasure and happiness. Do you get it? Sometimes you would see utilitarians will also fall into this category. They would talk about maximum pleasure for the maximum number. It means materialism in totality or in toto, you can say that it is a hedonistic philosophy. That is materialism. Hedonistic means it is pleasure seeking. Hedonism. Do you understand that? That is what you can say. Then wantlessness. How we can achieve wantlessness? One is through abstinence. We can do that. Through asceticism, becoming an ascetic. We can do in that way. Then you can say looking for liberation, which would be moksha. Looking for enlightenment, which would be nirvana. So these are the ways by which you can become wantless. Do you get it? So this is just the opening paragraph of the essay. What you have done, you have said that what is the objective of the life? The objective of the life is happiness, highest bliss, eternal bliss or self-realization, self-actualization or highest state of consciousness. Do you understand that? Eternal consciousness, where you feel very relaxed and there is no pain or desire left. Do you get it? That is what mostly people want to achieve in life. And therefore people adopt either the materialistic path or the wantlessness path. Because the ultimate aim is not material objects or giving up material objects. The ultimate aim is eternal state of bliss or happiness or self-realization. And that's why wantlessness, you see, absenteeism or asceticism, liberation, nirvana, these would be the steps through which they would move towards the path of wantlessness. Yes. Means moving into the forest like a hermit. Are you aware about the Vanaprastha ashram? Yes. That is the living the life of an ascetic. Got it? Now, the introduction is yet not over. You have to make it more interesting by bringing into some context. And suppose here we can talk about two important stories and we can bring in an anecdote here. One first story is about Buddha and his followers. And the second story, you can talk about Alexander the Great. Now, let us look at these two stories. You know that life of Buddha is very interesting. Initially, he was a prince. He had all the luxuries. He had a good wife, a son. Everything was going perfect. He was almost set to become the king. And you know that his father always wanted him to be away from pain and dukh and desires. Do you understand that? That's why he ensured that Buddha remained in a golden prison. He was never allowed to walk out of the premises of the palace. But one day, Buddha sneaked an opportunity, or rather I should say Siddhartha seeked an opportunity because he's still not Buddha yet. And then he moved around the city. He saw few things, remember that? Old man, sick man, dead body, and finally an ascetic, a hermit. And this form of life attracted him. And then he came back to his palace and he was no longer the same person. All the luxuries of the palace, they were not being enough to attract his attention, because he understood that ultimately there is only death, disease and pain. So what I need to do? I need to give up all these things. It means he's talking about what? Wantlessness. I want to give up all these things and I want to wander in search of what? In search of enlightenment or nirvana. Do you get that? And then he escapes from the palace in the middle of the night. Some people might say that this is a cowardly behavior. He is not moving in broad daylight because he is still not Buddha. He is just a weak person, Siddhartha. Do you understand that? And that's why he is moving in the middle of the night like a thief from his own home. He is leaving his child and wife behind. Also, you can understand he is shedding his family responsibilities. And then he is running outside the palace on a horse. That is known as the Great Renunciation, Mahabhinishkramana. Right? It means he has moved away. Then he wandered and he started finding answers to what? The source of pain. And he found out that desire is the source of all pain. And the only way to get rid of pain is to get rid of desires. Do you get it? And he said that that can be attained only by following the Ashtangika Marga or Madhyam Marga or Buddha's eightfold path. Do you get it? You have read that, right, in your history lessons. So the point here is, look here very carefully. So Buddha attained that. So can I say Buddha's life is in two parts? Before interval, it is all materialism. Siddhartha is all materialism, whereas Gautam Buddha is all wantlessness. Do you get it? It would be a good thing to highlight right into the introduction. Then the evaluator will understand that you have understood the deep lying meaning of the topic. Then you see, Here I am not talking about Buddha only. I am talking about his followers as well. So Buddha, because he was a great person, and you see that Buddha attained enlightenment. He understood the meaning of wantlessness, and then he created a band of followers under him, which was nothing but the Sangha. Right? So Dhamma and Sangha, these two things became the pillars of his teachings. But after Buddha is gone, or you see that there is Mahaparinirvana, then what happens to the Sangha? Look here. Sangha degenerates with time. It becomes a den of corruption also. And immoral practices also start in the Sangha. Do you understand that? And Buddhist monks also start accumulating gold. Whereas Buddha said that he left gold and palace, everything. But the monks started attaining gold. And in the name of what? Buddha Gautama himself. Do you understand that? So the ideal society of wantlessness that Buddha conceived is actually utopia. Because his followers could not follow that thing. The Sangha corrupted with time. And this was one of the major reasons why Buddhism dwindled in the society. You get it? Also, if you look at the later day teachings of Buddha, you will find that Buddha is talking to his favorite disciple, Ananda. And there Buddha is saying that I have a doubt about the integrity that will be maintained in the Sangha once I am gone. Because you see that corruption does not take fold overnight. There are shades of corruption. Corruption slowly raises its ugly head, but then becomes a grand Frankenstein's monster. That's why it becomes very crucial for us to understand that if we completely give up all wants, the monks said that we will be giving up all the wants because Buddha called them to do so, but they could not give up all the wants. It means wantlessness completely is what? It is a utopian idea. You get it? Now, let us come to this story of Alexander the Great. See, when Alexander returned to his native place after conquering almost every known part of the world at that time, and obviously you know that he got a drubbing here in India, and he was hastening back to his place. So he was the king of Macedonia, right? And when Alexander was on his deathbed, he asked for 3 wishes. In fact, he ordered that once I am gone, these 3 wishes should be fulfilled. Now, what are these 3 wishes? Look here very carefully, and very interesting story. First, he said that only my physicians should carry my coffin. Nobody else. Only my physicians. It means those who are treating me. Only they will carry my coffin. Second, he said that from my deathbed to my grave, this entire path that you will carry my coffin, this entire path should be decorated with gold and silver and all kinds of wealth that I have acquired till date. Bring all the wealth to Macedonia and lay it on the path. From my deathbed, it means in my last journey, I will walk over what? Gold and silver and wealth. This is what he says. And then he makes the third wish. He says that when you will put me in the coffin, ensure that my hands are outside, like this. It's a strange wish, right? So my hands should be outside the coffin. Now look here, there are 3 important philosophical lessons that Alexander the Great is trying to preach the world. After all, Alexander is also a philosopher who decided to become a military general. And that's why he was very, very good at it, because he was a philosopher at first. Remember, he was a disciple of Aristotle. And remember, Aristotle in himself is a great figure of philosophy. So he has taken all the philosophical lessons from his master. So by saying this, what he means? He says that I want the world to know that when death will be hunting you, no doctor can save you. That's why I want my physicians to carry my body so that the world see that how helpless they are in the face of death. Do you get it? Second, he said that I want people to know that this is the gold and silver and property and wealth that I have acquired through my military conquests and all of it. And at the same time, I want people to know that my hands are empty. I'm going with nothing. Do you understand that? It means materialism is a chimera. It's a chimera. Do you understand that? It is something which you will always pursue, but you will never get. And it is a never-ending desire. Even to the last day of his life, Alexander kept on fighting. Do you get it? So do you understand this? So if you can introduce your essay in this way, this is one of the ways, right? There could be a number of other ways. But if you do it in this way, definitely you will immediately set the tone of the essay. That will be the introduction. The body part, yes, go on, dear. If there is a question, go on. Introduction should be? Yes, you should. You can. In fact, you should. If you mention the wishes of Alexander, then it would be better. Because in that way, you will further add more weightage to the message that you are trying to convey. Right? Now, let us go to those questions which we asked ourselves while we were doing brainstorming. Because that is our body. Do you understand that? So what is the philosophy of wantlessness? First we understood that, right? We have already understood it. What is the philosophy of wantlessness? And you can give examples of various kinds of people who have adopted this philosophy. Then the second question, do you remember that is complete wantlessness really possible? Is it really possible? Now, look here. First, we need to understand two things. First is need and the second one is want. That is what you have to highlight first. See, what is need? Need is required for survival. It is something which is physiological in nature. Like say for example, food, shelter, etc. These are such things which you need for your survival. Whereas want is something which is psychological in nature. And needs are always limited. Wants are unlimited. Do you get it? Like say for example, suppose you built a mansion, a great palatial home of 1,000 rooms. Can you sleep that night in every room? You would ultimately sleep in only one. You get it? So one room is your need, whereas 1,000 rooms is your want. You get it? Maybe you can come or go to some place in a small car as well. But maybe your want would say, let me get a Ferrari, a Lamborghini or something like that. And wants are something which are never ending. Do you understand that? So, those who believe in the philosophy of wantlessness, they say that we want to give up what? We have to give up wants and not needs. Are they saying needlessness? They are saying wantlessness. And materialism calls for more and more wants. You get it? But the topic says even complete wantlessness is what? It is utopia. Also, take a look at this. Need is what human beings, they have in common with all the animals. Yes? They also need food, we also need food. They also need oxygen, we also need oxygen. They also need water, we also need water. So, maybe there could be more or less, degree can vary. But need is something which we have common with animals. Want is something which is exclusive, a human mental construct. Only human beings will have wants. Because wants are what? Wants are endless desires. Like, think of this, that when you had a bicycle, you wanted a scooty. When you got a scooty, you wanted a bike. When you will get a bike, you want a car. When you get a car, you want a sports car. It never ends, right? So it is like something like this, that a rod is tied to your head and a chocolate is hanging in front of you and you're trying to catch that. You'll never be able to do that. That is what those who believe in wantlessness say. Do you get it? That's why they say that it is the right thing to give up all your wants, like Buddha said. But in the introduction, we saw that it is not possible all the time. It looks very good on paper, but it is not always possible. This leads us to the next question. Why the philosophy of wantlessness is utopian? So there are many reasons. First is the basic instinct. Basic instinct in human beings. Human beings are built in such a fashion that they will go for some wants. And if these wants are artificially curbed, then they feel more, you can say, they feel as if they have been treated treacherously, or there is more of an injustice that have been done to them. Like, say, for example, UPSC says that this much amount of marks would be enough to qualify the CSET paper. So you need a particular amount of marks, but everybody would want 200 out of 200. Do you understand that? It's a basic human instinct. Ideal case, everybody would look for that. Whether you get it or not, that would be a different thing. But your ultimate want would be what in the CSAT paper? That you will score 200 out of 200. So basic instinct, you have to curb that. Or animal instinct or human instinct or inherent thing to want few things. Like, say, for example, the monks, they could not curb it. When they got, say, for example, see, want is what? Sometimes it is social prestige as well. Say, for example, wherever you go, people treat you very well, they give you a lot of respect. After some time, you develop a knack for that respect. Do you get it? And you want more and more respect. Do you get it? So, at times what happens is, you're looking for that respect, and if you do not get that respect, you feel a kind of pain inside you. So, complete wantlessness is not possible. It's utopian because there is something called basic instinct in human beings. All human beings have some inherent desire. Do you get it? Like, say, for example, you have eaten to the brim. Suppose, मतलब इतना खाया है कि अब और कोई जगह नहीं है. But suppose somebody tells you that there is a very good sweet. Would you like to taste it? Basic human instinct is, okay, I'll just take one bite. But you go for it. Do you understand that? Your needs are fulfilled. Many times you know that you want to eat only 4 chapatis. You know it. Or 3 chapatis. At times 2 chapatis. But the same person, when he goes to a function, say a marriage function or something like this, मतलब एफिल टावर बना लेते हैं वो चपातीस का 15-20 खा लेते, तब तक खाते हैं जब तक गिर ना जाए. So look here, because this is basic human instinct, because there is no cost involved in getting the marginal asset. Marginal asset means what you have over the margin, one more unit. In getting that, there is no extra cost is being incurred from your side. And whenever such situations are created, then you see people will go for these kind of things. Like, say, for example, there are so many people in Delhi who can afford paying their electricity bills, water bills, yet they want the subsidies, if given. Similarly, you see there were so many people who could afford the cylinders, LPG cylinders, yet they continued with their subsidy. Why? Because wants are what? They are endless. And why they are endless? Because it's a basic instinct. That's why it is utopia, first point. Second, wants, if you want to become wantless, then also you have to endure a lot of physical and mental pain. At times, this could also be considered as stress or agony. Like, think of the life of a sadhu or a monk who is meditating in the Himalayas. He has given up all the material assets. So you can say that he is more moving towards the philosophy of wantlessness. Do you get it? He is only surviving on the basis of his basic needs. The point is that does he have to undergo a lot of physical pain? Like suppose terrible winters in the Himalayas. It would be excruciatingly painful, right? Yet the sadhu would have to endure that. Similarly, a lot of mental pain. Sometimes suppose if you say, I do not want anything, then you will start giving up things, and then you will give up first your property, your income and all those kind of things, then your family also, maybe friends also. Then the moment you are giving up, let's say 2 or 3 friends would be need, 1000 friends would be want. Do you get it? As you give up, start giving up friends, then family, then you can understand there could be some days where you have to endure pain. Suppose somebody learns the death of his loved one, but he's already given up that thing. And that's why you see that this is something which is not possible for everyone. There could be exceptions. You understand that? But this is not possible for everyone. Therefore, wantlessness becomes a utopian idea. Do you get it? First point is what? It is curbing the basic instinct, the inherent desire of human beings. That's why it is utopian. Second, it says that you have to endure, or you have to go through, or you have to bear, you have to forbear a lot of pain. What kind of pain? Mental and physical, which is not possible for everyone. That's why you see there are so many people who take sannyas and after 3 days they return back. क्योंकि वो तभी संन्यास लेते हैं जब प्री का रिजल्ट आने वाला होता है, वो फिर वापस आ जाते हैं. The point is, it is very difficult to continue that form of life. You get it? That's why wantlessness is utopian. Are you understanding so far what I have highlighted? Then there are also external stimuli or external factors which will not allow you to become wantless completely. Like say for example, internal factor like your own inherent desire, and desire is something which is very difficult to give up. For that you have to become Buddha, and not everyone can become Buddha. External things means what? External things means like say the culture of consumerism. The culture of consumerism. With the growth of this culture of consumerism, you know, people want more and more products. Like say for example, in most of the Indian households, say if you go 2 decades or 3 decades back, the grocery bill or the list was almost fixed. But today you see people go to the supermarkets and there would be very few people who would make a list beforehand. You understand that? They will just go there and they will have some rough idea about what they want to purchase. But there they will see on the shelf there is a new product. And the moment they see that, they will get attracted towards it. And if they get attracted towards it, they would be drawn towards it. Do you understand that? So the culture of consumerism, it means behaving more and more like a consumer. Do you get it? Sometimes you have seen that suppose there is a person who is trying to learn music. Initially, he would dedicate himself or herself to a guru in the olden days. But now you see he would have multiple teachers. Do you get it? So the wants are not, they are not something which are only internally driven. External factors can also push you towards want. Also, think of this competition that people have developed in the society. You want more and more things. Like say for example, Your neighbor has got 2 cars, you want to compete, you want to have 3 cars. Your neighbor has got a simple car, you want to have a luxury car. Do you get it? Hello dear, I think it is, can you read the name? Nagar. Nagar, there is a noise from your end. Please put your mic on mute. Is it Nagar? Okay, thank you, Nagar. Okay, look here. So, you see that external factors like competition also can lead you towards that. Also, corporatization. Today, the corporates, they are driving the material culture. You see that through their marketing machinery and their advertising, they create an artificial desire in you at times. Oftentimes you have seen that there would be Instagram reels or Facebook fan pages or something like that. Even in music videos, you would see they would have fancy cars, very costly goggles and caps and t-shirts and jeans and pair of shoes. And it means that they are trying to attract you through their advertising marketing mechanisms. Do you get it? So there are external factors also. Can we eliminate these factors from the modern world today? That's why wantlessness becomes what? It becomes utopian. Do you understand that? Another important thing that you have to keep in mind is why people want things, because it gives them instant gratification. Not all people can have the patience of a rock. You understand that? Most of the times people are very impatient. Like, say for example, when you go to the market, you wanted to purchase something. Suppose you wanted to purchase the Apple iPad and you have got the money, you go there, you purchase, you get it. Immediately you feel very happy about it. कुछ लोग status भी डालने लग जाते हैं उसके बाद. Got my dream pad, iPad. Got it? So the point here is that materialism sometimes gives you instant gratification. Whereas wantlessness, if you want to believe in that, then you have to wait for a very long period of time. Like say for example, Buddha wandered for 6 years. And then one fine day he got Nirvana. Remember? Then he went to Sarnath and he started the Dharma Chakra Pravartan. He gave his first sermon there. And then for the rest of his life he did that only. Yet he could not make those people ideal who remained 24 hours with him. Do you get it? That's the problem with this approach of wantlessness. So I'm repeating one more time. Why wantlessness is a utopian idea? Because it is going against the basic instinct of human beings at times. Inherent desire to acquire things. And if you want to become wantless, you have to endure a lot of mental and physical pain. And the culture of consumerism, competition, corporatization, and instant gratification, which act as external stimulus, does not allow the person to go completely wantless. Do you get it? So these are the things, and you can also add desire to this. These are the things. Why? Because you see that wantlessness is utopia. Got it? Now we'll come to the next question. What is materialism? You already understand that. The root question is how materialism is a chimera. Remember what was a chimera? Some fire breathing monster, right? So why materialism is a chimera? That's the bigger question now. So that is what you need to address next. Why materialism is a chimera. Now look here, the first point that you can raise here is that materialism is a journey with no destination. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Materialism is a journey with no destination. It means you can never be completely satisfied or reach a goal, because today you have got a car, tomorrow there will be a fresh release. Those who have got iPhone 11, they wanted 12, they wanted 13, if 14 will be released, they want 14. If 15 will be released, they want 15. Where will they stop? They will not stop. Do you understand that? So materialism, first, it is a chimera. Chimera, remember, it is a fire-breathing monster continuously breathing fire. So it is like that. It is a never-ending journey. Now, if I have to show this with the use of a graph, try to understand this. Suppose these are, or this axis highlights your material desires, and this axis highlights time. Then can you understand this? That with time, the desires will only grow. Now, the rate of growth may differ from person to person. Like say, for example, for some people, the curve can be less slanting. For some people, the curve could be more slanting. But nevertheless, it will grow. It will never become like this. Do you get it? It will never go like this, but it can go like this. Are you getting it? See, I'm taking some mathematics to explain you, giving logic to something which is philosophical, actually. So, with time, the material desires will only grow, and it is an unending. This is pointing arrow. It means it is not a line segment, rather this is a curve, and it's an open-ended curve. Do you understand that? So it is growing with time. One thing you get, the next desire immediately builds up. Suppose if you do not get it, you feel painful. If you get it, then the next desire is immediately born. Like say, for example, many people who clear the PSC examination, immediately the next desire is UPSC. If you crack UPSC examination, the next desire would be to perform in the academy. Then the next desire would be to perform in the administration. Maybe the next desire would be to go to cabinet secretary, chief secretary, those kind of posts. Next, the desire would be, say, to go into politics, maybe become the prime minister. Where will the desire stop? Do you get it? So these are the desires which will always keep you pushing. So you will be completely breathing what? Fire. You would be chasing, you will be trying to stop the fire of a chimera which never stops because it breathes fire. So every inhalation, every exhalation is fiery. Do you get it? That's the first point. Then look here. There is a lot of risks involved in materialist journey. Like say, for example, think of a businessman. Think of a person who worked in a company, say, for 25 years, accumulated wealth, and now wants to start his own venture. And he has started a startup or something like that, right? And you see that now he wants to grow his company. So will he have to take funding? Maybe he'll also list his company across a stock exchange from where he can get more money. He may do an IPO and all those kind of things. The point is he may take loans also from bank. The point is he will take all the money and then he will do what? He will invest it in the economy. Why? What is the motivation? What is the motivation? Profit, right? And profit is what? Material or immaterial? Material. Profit is material always, right? Because it is a materialistic ideology. Capitalism, Marxism, these are all materialistic ideologies. So look here, that when you invest so much, can you give a written guarantee that yes, you will get the returns?
No, sir.
Do you understand that? That's why chasing it is like a chimera, because there are a lot of risks involved. It means the ROI, do you understand the ROI? Return on investment is not always 100% assured when you are chasing what? Material objects in life. That's the second problem with materialism. Third problem is that when you're looking for material resources or material objects, whatever objects you're looking for, are they made out of natural and human resources or not? And natural and human resources are limited or unlimited? Limited. All resources are limited. Do you understand that? Therefore, limitation of resources creates a big hurdle in the path of your material pursuit. Remember Gandhiji's that quote that there is enough for every man's need, but not for every man's greed. Greed, you know, that it is more of related to want rather than need. Do you get it? So look here very carefully. That first, it is a never-ending journey. One material objective is attained, immediately the new one is born. If you attain that one, a new one is born, and every other, the subsequent objective is a higher objective than the previous one. Second, the risks involved. The risks are so high that not everybody will be able to pursue that journey every time. Like, are you aware of this, that Elon Musk suddenly decided to sell all his properties because he wanted to put money in both Tesla as well as SpaceX? How many of people will take that much amount of risk? Most of the companies are not profitable also yet, who have attained large scale funding. Like even Paytm is not profitable yet. You understand? So if they do not turn themselves profitable in some time soon, will the operations start closing down? Yes. And that has happened with so many companies in the past. And then limitation of resources. First, on one hand, you have competition, and on the other hand, you have limitation. Do you get it? That also create this kind of things. And the last but not the least, it is the weakness of character. When you pursue materialism blindly, some weaknesses develop in your character. Now, these weaknesses can be highlighted by the 5 sins of human character. Now, what are these 5 sins? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, and Ahankar. Kam means your pleasures, unending hunger for pleasures. Krodh is anger. Lobh is greed. Moh is attachment. And Ahankar is ego. These things will develop, and here you can bring in the Sikh philosophy, the Hindu philosophy to justify all these kind of things, right? This is why materialism becomes what? It becomes a chimera. Do you get it? So do you understand how wantlessness was utopian and how materialism is a chimera? Now we will come to the conclusion of the essay. How to conclude this essay? Or the conclusion of the essay. To understand the conclusion, let us think of a scale. On one end, can I say there is wantlessness, is the extreme end, and on the other end, there is materialism. So both are what? Extremes. What you should go for? The golden mean. Right? That is how you can close the essay. You can say that we should neither go for blind materialism, that is not possible. We should also not try to give up everything, that is also not possible. We would be requiring some things, even beyond our wants, even beyond our needs. We will be requiring something. So we should not give up all the things. And at the same time, we should not chase everything that is present in the world and try to improve every time over a certain thing. It means not only look for all the things, but also stop from upgrading every little thing which is not required. Got it? So you can bring in here what? The idea of the Greek scholar Aristotle. And Aristotle, if you remember, we have covered this in the ethics class as well. Aristotle, for him, the purpose of life is what? Eudaimonia. Remember that? A life well lived. And remember the starting of our essay. What is the object of human Life. Remember? So eudaimonia is what? Eudaimonia is a life well lived. Got it? Eudaimonia is the concept given by Aristotle wherein he says you should avoid the extremes, rather you should strike a golden mean. Not only Aristotle, you can also bring in Gautam Buddha, and you can talk about his Madhyam Marg. You can take the matter from the history books, right? I'm not going into the detail of it because then we'll not be able to discuss everything. So you can highlight that Madhyam Marga, remember, right action, right speech, right knowledge, all of that. Then you can also take the help of M.K. Gandhi or the Gandhian philosophy. In the Gandhian philosophy, you know that he talks about the principle of trusteeship. Now, what is this principle of trusteeship? It is a balance between capitalism and communism. Communism says complete state-controlled property, whereas capitalism says completely property in private hands. Gandhiji said that those who are owning the factories, they should act like trustees. They should take only that much which is required for them and then distribute the rest to the people. Do you understand that? And he also said that if the organization is not run on the principle of trusteeship, then the workers have the right to do satyagraha, but not revolt or lockout. Do you get it? And never to take violence. That's why you see the trade union movements. These movements will not be supported by Gandhiji. Even remember the Ahmedabad mill satyagraha? There also what he did, he decided to strike a balance between the interests of both, and he worked for always what? A compromise, which is what? A middle path. Do you get it? Then you can also talk about Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's integral humanism. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's integral humanism says that you should avoid the extremes of capitalism and socialism. Rather, you should build your state in such a way that there will be some role given to the state. At the same time, there will be liberty which would exist. And when we talk about equality and liberty, you can also bring in the American philosopher John Rawls. Remember him? He said that we can strike a balance between liberty and equality, and you can write about his principles of justice, where the first principle says that we should work for liberty, and the second principle, remember the Maximin principle, which says that there could be some inequality in the society, but the benefit of inequality should go to those who are the weakest and the vulnerable. The benefits of inequality should not go to those who are strong. Do you get it? So these are some of the philosophies that you can bring in to defend your line of thought. Finally, what you can say is, you can go to the philosophy of Vedanta and you can talk about the 4 things that are required in life. Now, what are they? They are your man, buddhi, chit, and atma. You have to work towards these things. Man is your mind, buddhi is your intellect, chit or chetna is your consciousness, and atma is your soul. If you can work on these aspects, and also you can bring in the teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji here. Yes, they are Sanskrit words. If you can bring these kind of thoughts at the fag end of your essay, you will be able to highlight that what you are actually looking for. See, what you need in life is grit and determination. Second, you need is patience. Third, you need is sacrifice. For not going behind every material object, you have to do some sacrifice. Do you understand that? And you have to have some patience to enjoy even some amount of wantlessness. Do you get it? So what you need is, look here very carefully, this is the $1,000,000 line in the essay. It is not wantlessness, but less wantness. Do you get it? That is what you should look for. And that is how you can strike the balance between what? The utopia and the chimera. Remember that? This is how you can close your essay. And you can give some examples also, like, have you heard about this man, Rajgopalan Vasudevan? Have you heard about him? Rajgopalan Vasudevan? He is the plastic man of India. Now, he is also a Padma awardee, by the way. So, what Rajgopalan Vasudevan has to say comes from Tamil Nadu. See, he says that complete elimination of plastic is impossible. Why? Because the beverage industry, the food packaging industry, there are so many industries which think that plastic is the best thing, because first it protects the food, it is also waterproof, and it is very cheap. So what he says that don't go for complete elimination of plastic, go for complete elimination of single-use plastic and work on recycling. So he is adopting what? A middle path. Do you get it? So this essay was all about what? If I have to say in one word, it was all about middle path. And the aim was to reach to eudaimonia. Do you understand that? Or India of my dreams, as Gandhi said. So whatever you want to put in here, this was one of the way of writing this essay. Got it? And I took this one first because I felt that most of you might have struggled here, right? Now we will go to the second one, which is relatively easy. So I don't think it will take more than 20 minutes for us to cover this one. Okay. So is everything clear with the first topic that we have discussed? In our case, the first topic, which is actually the second. Is everything clear? Okay. Okay. Is there a question there? Yeah, go on. Dear, can you just put the microphone a little bit away because the voice is very hazy. Yes, go on. Hmm. Can you just type in your question? I think it's becoming difficult to keep track of it. I'll try to answer that. Okay, type in it. Okay, type in your question, and I'll give you the opportunities to ask questions around both the topics once we cover both of them. And type in your question, because dear, sometimes the internet connection, it creates obstruction. Okay. So the second topic is, ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships sink because of water that gets into them. Very simple topic, which says, if I have to just hypothetically highlight this to you, it says that ships do not sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets into them. Do you get it? So, most of you have attempted this essay. So, anybody would like to highlight that how you interpreted this topic? I just want to know the meaning of the topic, not how you started your essay or what points you have included in that. What did you understand by this? Don't tell me what is actually written there, that I have already highlighted, but what is the meaning of this topic? Yes, yes, that's the sole thing in the essay, that it is not external situation, factors, actors, etc., but it is always internal situation, factors, actors, etc., which spoil everything. Now, let's do some brainstorming for this. Okay, and I will give you a topic, or I will give you a head under which you have to brainstorm. And take this exercises very seriously, friends, because if you do not put a lot of effort today, I can give it in writing, you will not be able to put any effort on the exam day. And once the attempts will be done, you will understand how painful it would be for you, because you have not put in your efforts. So, let's start with the brainstorming part. Then we'll talk about the introduction and all. Brainstorm. And think about the individual. Just think about the individual. And try to apply this topic. Who will try? अब थोड़ा आप भी बोलिए. Yes.
So I think that ship is the individual basically, and what are around them is basically the situation, the challenges, the circumstances.
Okay. Okay. Sit down and speak, dear.
Economic conditions, everything. The water gets into them, right? That is the actual problem which creates the failure basically, the sinking of the
Ship.
anxiety,
Yes.
lethargy,
Okay.
procrastination, and everything.
Yes. So this is the way you interpret this thing. Yes. Anybody would like to say something? Okay. That would be a good example. Yes.
These stories not up to previous ones. There are threats who have thrown more than 50 balls. Still, we haven't got to practice. So we have to go on. There are players who have more record.
Yes. Got your point.
So also they have internal practice, like might be below, like somewhere. So they
The perseverance, the determination. Now look here. Simply put, we can take it in this way, that there could be people around you who would always demotivate you, or people around you who would pull you towards immoral things, unethical things, illegal things. It could be anything. But ultimately, it is the weakness of your character which will ensure your fall in life. Do you get it?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can I give one example?
Yes, go on.
Sir, I know this in my essay. So during the time of partitioning of India, there was widespread hatred between two communities, especially
Yes.
Hindu and Muslim.
Yes.
And one scenario, there was a man who said, I'm a Muslim man lighting a diya, that is a Hindu symbol, with a candle that is a symbol of Christianity. And that man was great APJ Abdul Kalam.
Yes.
Although there was hatred, although there was anything between two groups, but there was one secular man who was in that scenario.
Yes. Good example here. The point here is, see, we are just looking at the topic from one perspective only now, individual. So you see, a man may be surrounded in the ocean of immorality, but he will sink only when he does not put his moral anchor strongly. Do you get it? When the character becomes weak, when the values dwindle, when the person has lost virtues like temperance, fortitude, prudence, sense of justice, then that person will surely sink. And you can give examples around it, right? See, I'm not here to spoon feed anyone, because you people are in that age where spoon feeding will actually not do any good, rather more harm to you people. So essay is always, I told you that it has to come from you. I'm just telling you the ways in which you can think. Okay, let us take one more perspective. Let's talk about family. And you know that a family also, it breaks away if it has weak family values. So a family which lack values will break away. And it is not necessary a family which is family of people connected by blood. It could be a group, a social organization also. Do you get it? When there is, say, internal doubts or there are apprehensions, etc., these internal things can break away. Like say, for example, आपके पड़ोसी जो है आपका घर नहीं तोड़ सकते, आप खुद तोड़ते. Do you get it? So this is what you have to keep in mind. Then let's take it to society. You know that in many societies there are often some unethical, immoral, social norms, conventions, customs, etc. And societies should be ready to reform themselves. Those societies we do not have the internal strength to reform their evils or to get rid of their evils and renegotiate the social contract. Those societies will again sink. Those who would stand as a obstruction to the social reforms or reject anything, they will sink. Do you understand that? Now, let me take it to institution. Think of any institution. It could be a social institution, a political institution, or it could be anything, any kind of institution or a government institution. This institution will sink not because of the challenges that it has. Like say, for example, it's a law enforcement agencies. It will sink not because if the crimes go up into the society, it will sink only when criminal tendencies enter the organization. Do you get it? If suppose those who are having the duty to enforce law, they start compromising with the law by selling their values. Do you get it? That is when it will sink. Or suppose the procedures or the processes that are adopted, these processes are not fair, transparent, etc. Or say the division of work or decentralization is not there in place. There is over-centric approach here, no democratic participation, etc. In such cases, these institutions will also sink. Let's talk about administration. See, think of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy will not sink because of the bureaucratic challenges outside. Bureaucracy will sink if, say, evils like corruption enter into the bureaucracy. Evils like red tapeism enters into the bureaucracy. Do you understand that? Or evils like, suppose in the bureaucracy there is a complex web of procedures, so complex that it is not allowing people to interact with the bureaucracy properly. Or the bureaucracy loses its real aim. The real aim of bureaucracy is what? Celebration of the public spirit. And it loses that itself. In that way, the entire administration will sink. Let's talk about the government. Think of a government. You know, all governments are what? They are protectors of the social contract. Suppose this government, it starts misusing the social contract for curbing the civil liberties, then obviously you understand that the days of the government are neared, right? They're numbered now. So people will definitely try to throw away that government, first by democratic means, and if it resists, then by revolution, rebellion, revolt, anything. The same things have happened in France. Things like this have happened in United States of America as well. So where you see that the government was acting as an obstruction in the path of reforms, where in the social contract, which could also be manifesting itself in the form of the constitution or laws of the land. So when there is obstruction of this kind by the government, then you understand that their government has become weak. Do you understand that? And that government will sink with time due to its internal failures. Okay, let's talk about political parties. Yes.
Like you were talking about these political things, like, we can write about political examples also.
But no, do not mention the name of any political party or leader.
No, not like that.
Yes.
Just, an instance, some instance which has happened during the past.
But you cannot take the name of political parties. But you can write about revolutions and all those kind of things.
And secondly, sir, the international affairs part, like an example of Sri Lanka, like they.
Yes, yes, you can. You can. Yes.
Maharashtra crisis, as mentioned that that's not
No, no, you cannot.
can
No, you cannot. You cannot. Because it will make your essay politically leaning towards one part, right? It will. You cannot. You just talk about basic ideas and philosophers and philosophies and world events. To understand that, or national events, but do not take a particular political fiasco. Then it will become very difficult. Okay. Think of a political party, and we can talk like this. Yes. Go on.
Actually, I'm asking, can we expand the essay on one topic, like in the example of our nation, and expand by putting different ideas? Can we do that?
Go on one more time, dear.
I'm saying, can we expand our essay on one point, like taking the example of time, or like the nation, and expand the whole idea, putting the different idea in that?
Yes, you can, but then the perspectives would be limited. You have. Hmm. So, what is the question exactly?
Actually, that was working in a different role, right? Family, society, and after expanding essay on one point, like in the example of nation.
Yes,
Like going to the state.
you can do that, dear. Okay, hold on, hold on. You can do that. The point is, here we are trying to brainstorm. You can take the idea of India and you can bring all the things there itself. You can do that. You can do that. Why not?
Like you said, we cannot put the Maharashtra crisis. Instead of putting Maharashtra crisis, can we indirectly say that like internally the members of the party, in case they do this, so they can harm the entire.
Yes, that is what I'm coming to next. So look here, I'm saying a political party. Look here, a political party which lacks internal democracy, say for example. There will be no controversy over this. All political parties should be democratic in a democratic setup. So a political party which lacks internal democracy may sink with time. And no need of taking any names, but you may have some examples also. But the point is you cannot mention those names. Because the moment you do that, then obviously ये बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा वहां पे prove करना that you are not politically influenced or you are not inclined towards one political ideology. Or, no, never. That's what I'm saying. See, no mention of political parties and political party leaders' name. Do you get it? Also, you should only talk about the constitution and the general philosophical ideas around it, right? Otherwise, it would become very difficult to ascertain. Okay, now.
Like you said, in the economics part, we can say that like Sri Lanka went for an organic.
Yes, you can. Okay, look here. Now, let us think about the economic thing. Suppose an economic setup does not work on things like capital formation, or it does not work on things like ease of doing business, then that economic system will also sink with time. Do you get it? Because ease of doing business, capital formation, building infrastructure, skilling people, these things will kill that economy and not the global economic competition. Do you get it? You can think something like that. Also think of, say, international relations. Think of India and her neighborhood. Look here. India is surrounded by a hostile neighborhood, but it is not that neighborhood which may bring tensions to India. If there are internal fissures in the Indian society, if we are divided on the grounds of caste, communal lines, or those kind of things, or we do not have well prepared defense mechanisms in place, our army is not up to date. Do you understand that? These kind of things may ensure or may cause problem for us and not Pakistan or China to that extent. So in that way also you can relate it to that topic that ships sink because of the internal fissures. Do you understand that? Yes. Yes, yes, you can.
The education education part also, like
Huh.
Indians are not are kept uneducated, so
Huh. Yes, you can. Why not? Okay, look here. Let me talk about environment. Look here. It is not necessary that an asteroid from the universe somewhere it should travel and hit the earth and destroy the earth. Our own unsustainable environmental practices would be enough to destroy the earth. Do you get it? Can you bring that context here too? Now, think of, say, education. It is not that how education is going on in other countries or how education is set up in other countries that will ensure the bad performance of Indian educational system. But if our education is not value driven, it is not suitable to the needs of the industry, then we will not be able to produce the kind of personnel who would be required to work in a global economic platform. Like, think of this. This country produces large number of engineers every year, but most of them are unemployable. Why? It is not their fault. It is the fault of the education system. Do you get it? Also, think of say media. You can bring in media as well. Imagine that it is not the other media houses or other media channels that are your competition if you are a media house. What will be your competition, real competition, or what will be the reason for your downfall if you fail? Then it would be that suppose when you compromise on media ethics, when you compromise on principles of journalism, then people will in the long term understand that there is a hidden agenda, motive, etc. If you start supporting the ruling party or the opposition parties, then obviously the impartial, unfair image of the media will take a hit. And in that way, those media houses may have to suffer in the future. Who knows? Do you get it? That's another thing. See, what is the role of media? Media is the fourth pillar of democracy. Its role is to ask questions and its role is to inform people the right information, not with agenda of any kind. Do you understand that? Also, media houses should not lean towards any political ideology. Media should behave like bureaucracy, apolitical. Do you understand that? They should not be politically inclined towards any side. If you start compromising on the principles of journalism, like fairness, inquiry, objectivity, transparency, then obviously people will lose faith in that kind of a media house. Got it? Similarly, think of sports. And you can bring in so many dimensions. Sports, think of this, that it is not the competition from USA or China or other sporting countries. That is the reason why we are not performing so well in the Olympics. There are many reasons, and these are internal reasons. Like, say, for example, we do not have first good quality infrastructure. Then we do not have the talent hunt programs. Third, we do not have the training programs. Talent hunt is by which you search the right talent, and then there should be training program through which you hone the skills of those whom you have selected. Got it? The point here to be noted is that many times in India what happens is once they have secured something, then we praise the person. Then we shower money. Like, say, for example, when some athletes bring gold medal, then you see all state governments, they start giving all kinds of accolades towards them. Yes.
There was no roads.
Yes. Forget about her. Think about Mary Kom. Think about her initial days. Now the situation is much better. Many states have come up, like Haryana is doing a lot, Punjab is doing a lot, Odisha is doing a lot, MP is doing a lot, Chhattisgarh is doing a lot regarding sports. But you see that there are also times and instances where you see that, think of Mary Kom, the kind of struggles she went through. तो हम नहीं एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते कि हमारे मेडल्स 50 होंगे गोल्ड मेडल जब तक हम इन पे काम नहीं करेंगे. The ship will keep on sinking at the medal tally. Do you get it?
Like, sir, in the sports part, the guidelines of like WADA, there are the
Yes.
international guidelines, but
Yes.
Indian guidelines are not in that way that we can progress. Like, they are so unethical practices which are followed.
Yeah, the NADA guideline. Yes. Okay, now think of, yes, yes. Political institution. I said that if the political party does not have internal democracy मतलब जो लीडर हैं उनके ही बेटे फिर से लीडर हो जा रहे हैं, उनके ही बेटे फिर से लीडर हो जा रहे हैं, there is no elections going on for party posts. Institution could be anything. CBI ले लो एक institution. Supreme Court called it in 2012 a caged parrot. Do you understand that? Now think of this. Culture. How you would get more examples for this? Obviously by reading more. और कोई तरीका नहीं है. अब ये मत सोचो कि हाँ आपको आने लगेगा. You have to read more. No way out. Newspapers, books, whatever your standard material. And you say this essay was very easy, right? And in 2020, I think most of the people they wrote this essay in that part. Culture also, you see, if a culture which promotes isolationism, it does not promote interaction with others, it is inward looking, or it is jingoistic, like think of North Korean culture. They are now isolated from the entire world, and it will not be a surprise if that ensures their downfall in the long run. Got it? So how many points we have created? 1, 2, हाँ तो बहुत है, बहुत है. इसमें से 10 आपको select करने हैं, and your essay would be ready. Do you get it? You can bring in other points as well, like technology. We should not be dependent on others. Defense. We should not be dependent on others. Just start thinking and you will get more and more points.
Technology-wise, sir, if we talk about the artificial intelligence.
Yes. Think about the Chinese apps when they were banned. It created an opportunity for us to build our own apps. Got it? Now, how to start this essay? One good way to start this essay would be by highlighting what Chanakya had to say. Chanakya said that there are 4 kinds of dangers to the society. One which is external, one which is internal, one which is externally aided internal, the other one is internally aided external. And here the point is internal and internally aided external. That is how ships sink. Do you get it? And then you can interpret the different dimensions and add in the body. Simple essay, right? How to conclude? That is the bigger question here. कि आप conclude कैसे करोगे इसको? देखो, conclusion could be of various types here, but one good conclusion would be where you talk about the root problem. What is the root problem? The root problem is water getting inside the ship. How it can get inside the ship? Through holes in the bottom or at the sides, or if there is a flood, water can get in. Do you get it? So you have to strengthen what? The ship and the sailor and the captain of the ship. It means you have to work on the character of those who are heading the institutions. You have to work on the procedures and systems that are there in the system, be it education system, administrative system, any system. You have to also work on what? You have to work on the resilience factor. What is resilience factor? Resilience factor is, it means when you are thrown from the point where you should be, how much time do you take to return to that point? That is resilience. Greater the resilience, greater would be the efficiency. Got it? Like say for example, think of this, that in your individual case, suppose you were lured by some say bribe and you thought that it would be good to get this bribe, but suddenly you took recourse to your integrity and you decided, no, I am not going to do that. So the quickly you can put down such kind of temptations, the more resilient you are. Do you get it? So ship should be built strongly and loopholes should be addressed into the system. And you can bring in examples of various kinds. Do you get it? And in this way you can write a good essay for this topic. Okay. So is this topic clear to most of the people? Simple topic, right?